they do an amazing show on Canyon Star as well. All right, DC, I think we're good on YouTube. We're getting
I'm
everything
not. I'm
switched
still got
over.
the blank screen. So
All
y'all
right.
keep talking.
So
Keep
you've
talking.
joined in D&D Dynamite 80s out of Nashville, Tennessee. DC's getting it switched over live on YouTube. Also tonight, folks, remember, I will be monitoring YouTube, so make sure and get your comments in, and we'll ask questions for Bill and Rosie. You guys know how we interview, so we need all the help y'all can provide us. Bring those questions on. We're good.
That's
So,
exactly right, man.
yes, we'll just keep it rolling as usual, though. But
All right, my friend.
all
You
right,
ready?
I am ready. We are now live. YouTube's up. Let me
All
switch
right.
this over. We are good. All right, whenever you're ready, we'll start the intro.
Hi, this is Ivan from Men Without Hats, and you're listening live from Nashville to the D&D Dynamite 80s podcast with DC and DH.
Live from Nashville, Tennessee, you are listening to the D&D Dynamite 80s podcast with your hosts, DC and DH. So, guys, take it away. Sign that guy up.
I'm telling you, we need to give him, what do we pay him right now? We need to double his salary. Don't we pay him $0? Let's double that.
I get
man.
$0, yes.
So this week I'm doubling your salary, all right?
All right.
So
I don't know, guys.
appreciate
That sounds pretty professional.
Thanks for the confidence boost there.
Yes, thank you for that.
We're far from being very professional, that's for sure. But we enjoy what we're doing.
Don't tell them yet. They'll find out in about 3 seconds. It's all good.
Yeah. I blew it, didn't I? I already blew it.
Did.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. I'm DH.
I am DC.
And we are here to take another fantastic look back at all things 80s. And
no, we're not.
As we do throughout, we do different shows. And man, this is one I've been looking forward to, DC. So
yep.
I was going to ask you how your week's been, but I really don't care. I want to get this show started.
I know you don't. So there you go. There you go.
So
we're closer to fall break, so that's all that matters.
Yes.
Because the kids are wild.
And you're still older, so it's all good.
That's true. I get older by the day teaching high school kids, that's for sure.
Oh, it's
great. No, it's all good. It's okay. No, we're honored to have absolutely, Rosie and Bill from the Rosie and Bill show. And these guys are neighbors of ours on Canyon Star TV. Like we kind of promote every week. Well, the network that is, you just sign up and you get some family friendly broadcasting. And we were talking off the air that DH really likes the cooking stuff.
Oh, I do. I love the cooking shows on there. But DC, you said neighbors. I'm going to correct you. They're like on this level, and we're like on the starting rung. So
right, we got the basement apartment.
Yes, we got the basement.
Gotcha. I'm following you. Following you.
Hey, at least you guys have an apartment.
How you guys doing?
We're good. We could see you like to self-deprecate, but I can see that's not true at all.
Oh, wow. Let's talk about your story a little bit. It was interesting doing some research on you guys, and started this thing I believe in 2018. And so how'd the idea even come about? Have you known each other for a while, or was it something that y'all met pretty recent around that time, or how was it?
Yeah, we go way back. We went to college together and reconnected after a few years. And back in 2018, I was actually the year before, I was doing some things musically and with a friend trying this whole podcast thing, and had a good time doing it. Really enjoyed it. But Rosie had moved back to the Philadelphia area at the end of 17, and actually came on as my guest in December of 17.
Yeah.
And ended up being my co-host because my other co-host couldn't make it because of the weather. And lo and behold, within a few minutes, and we were going Facebook Live back then on Friday nights.
Okay.
And I started seeing activity like I had never seen, with comments and everything. And we basically decided, hey, I think we have something here, but we wanted to have a purpose with what we were doing and not just do something, because everybody else is doing it. And our initial goal and purpose was to put out content and have a place where people could go for positive, fun, and inspirational content amidst all the negativity on social media.
Yeah.
And I'll give a couple little highlights and then let Rosie
Sure.
share her side because,
Sure.
this is the Rosie and Bill show. It's the two of us together. I'm just blessed to be able to do what I love to do with my best friend and have a great time doing it. But we've had our shares of ups and downs over the years, like many other people. Our timing wasn't the best. In early 2020, we rented and converted an office into a studio where we were going to bring people into our studio just in time to be closed down for 2 years.
Pandemic.
We
hit,
did like
yeah.
what, 2 shows?
Yes, yeah, we did.
Oh, wow.
I think we did
So it
2
started,
shows and
yeah.
and the world shut down. But out of lemons, you make lemonade. And we discovered Zoom, and Rosie had some friends that she can tell you about that kind of helped us early on. And we developed some relationships, and we went from focusing on people in the area doing really good, positive things to evolving into an entertainment themed show. And
Right.
we developed some great relationships with some folks down where you guys are in Nashville. Even though I'm in Philly, I've been a huge country music fan since I discovered Chris Ledoux in 1992. And ever
Okay.
since.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one thing led to another, and we've had some of the biggest names in entertainment come on and share their story.
Yeah.
We've stuck to our original plan, which was positive, inspirational, and fun content. And I will tell you some of the stories and some of the people we've had on, what they've overcome, the obstacles, the hurdles, the comebacks. It's nothing short of amazing week in and week out. So thanks to Zoom and thanks to us being nimble and flexible, we've kept it going and kept it growing. And with that, I'll turn it over to the best co-host that I know.
I think
Rosie.
you covered it, Bill. I mean, that pretty much ran the gamut.
Well, one of the things that I found impressive was when we started this, we just, it's casual conversation with friends. That's how we approach it. It's none of the gotcha, none of the negative stuff.
No, we're not going to do that.
Just sit around, have a casual conversation. You can have a drink of choice. Mine is Sprite Zero, but just whatever you prefer. It's all good. But some of the comments your guests have made were really kind of hit home that kind of what you just talked about, where they're talking about it's a safe environment, an encouraging environment. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of preparation. Kind of talk to us about your routine going into a show, how you prep and how you kind of prepare so you can make sure you have that.
I appreciate that. And, Rosie, I don't know if you want to touch on your prep first, and then I'll talk about, because we do some things separately and then we come together and do it beforehand, because what you just said, I think is one of the things that hopefully sets us apart in the minds of a lot of our guests because we do our homework. But I'll let Rosie chime in with some of her thoughts on that, because it's a critical piece of what we do.
Yeah, well, I mean, early on when we first started it, it was definitely a mutual thing that we did. We would be on the phone together. We would be writing questions, and we even initially started, we would have pre-interviews with people.
Wow.
And I mean, we had one guest on from LA named Charlie Adler. He's a master voiceover artist. Any cartoon you've ever seen, probably he's on. And movies, and like the Transformer cartoon movies and all that, or not cartoons. But anyway, we had like an hour pre-show interview with him, and it was so much fun, and he had fun, and so we kind of shared those duties for quite a while. And then honestly, my mother got sick and everything shifted. And Bill kind of stepped in and took over a lot of that. Now, we still do talk about it, and I'll put my 2 cents in, but we've always taken pride in really doing the homework like I see that you both do, and to make sure we kind of honor our guests. Like, we always want to show, even in the editing, we want to show our guests in the highest light. If they kind of have a stumble, or if they, say something that maybe we know that they didn't mean in a certain way, but it's coming across when I look back on it. Like, I'm like, no, maybe we can, fix that a little. So it's really important to us to have integrity about the show. So we definitely do the homework, we craft the questions, and then we talk to each other about, okay, now we just got to get on the ride, because we do want it to be an organic conversation and go where the guest takes us in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And what's interesting, and I think I saw where one of our recent guests, you guys spoke with, a TG Shepherd.
Oh, fantastic!
Who's as good as they come.
Yep.
And we actually had TG and Kelly on it at the same time. They were promoting the Duets album, which was awesome.
Yep.
But one of the things that TG said at the end, before we wrapped up, was that it was a conversation, and he felt as though he had the opportunity to kind of bare his soul on a couch with us.
Oh, wow.
And it's because, and that was in the show. That was, for folks who haven't seen it, it's there towards the end. And when you have someone of his stature say that, a couple of years ago, we had Tony Orlando, who's as big an icon as you can get.
Yeah, and I was going to bring that up, Bill. Yeah. Tell everybody what he said about the show.
He said it was the best interview he had ever done because we were the best listeners. And he even said that he's still working on that. And I think, and you guys touched on it earlier, and that is that it may have your names on the show, it may have our names on the show, but the show's about the guest and their story. And we are just there to facilitate them telling their story, not to try to get in whatever. Yeah, we have an outline, we have bullet points, we have things, but like Rosie said, a lot of times we just strap on and enjoy the ride and see where they go.
That's a great point. You say that, because a lot of times that's kind of our show. I mean, we have things that we can talk about, but we like to just let the guests kind of flow with the show, and we'll just ride that wave and just have some fun with it. And that's one of the things I think I found watching your show that I find is most fascinating and really draws me in, is the way you guys do. It's a casual conversation. Like you said, it's just, they get to sit on the couch, they get to do the interview, but it's more like talking to friends. And you guys do an amazing job at that. And I was telling DC, that's something that we kind of build our show on, but there's not a lot of shows out there. And to see the way you guys do that, it's very, very inspiring for us to see that. So y'all do an amazing job of that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So kind of you. I mean, I'm looking at both of you and I'm thinking the same thing, because you're just very conversational, and you do make it seem like we're just coming over and having coffee and chatting. And I want to step back for a second, because when you were asking about how we got started, I do want to give a shout out to my friends Kevin Sizemore and Gina Lombardi, because when the pandemic hit, Bill and I were like, okay, what now? And Kevin, I said, well, everybody else is doing it on Zoom. And Bill's like, yeah, I guess it's okay to do that now. So I have a lot of friends who are in the entertainment industry, actors. And my friends Gina and Kevin are married. She's a celebrity personal trainer, and he's an actor and producer. And so we had the whole family on, because their son is an actor and voiceover artist as well. And Kevin said to us one night, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to you guys. And he hooked us up with his friend, who's a manager, actually in DC, but he represents like a lot of somebody that was on AGT, Lando Eugene Murphy. And anyway, that got us started and thinking, okay, we can have relationships with managers. We can have relationships with PR people. And Bill has cultivated amazing relationships with PR people in Nashville. And it really has enabled us to talk to people all over the world. And that is one of the coolest things, because we have up and comers, and yes, the people who've really established themselves and accomplished great things in their careers, but it's also nice to see the people coming up.
Yeah. And I have absolutely. Tammy Dever, who is a great friend to our show, Totally Cool Ladies is her site and her company. she wanted me to tell Bill and Rosie,
Hi, Tammy.
thanks for being a light in people's days, and may God bless you both. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I
Oh.
think that says perfect what I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah.
You guys are
Such
such an
a
inspiration and
great
light.
lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Wow.
thank you, Tammy.
Say thank you to her, please.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is amazing. And I know you guys know this when you do something like this and, we all, I'm sure I'm going to make the assumption here. And I think I already heard about some teaching going on. There's quite a bit of teaching going on with some of these boxes here, in terms of day jobs,
Yes.
and other things too. So when you do something like this and, for the longest time and, my dream is for my night job to be my day job. But in the interim, I'm going to do the best I can at both jobs.
Sure.
But it's a lot of work. And one of the unsung pieces of doing this, at least with us, is the editing and piecing things together. And Rosie has taught herself to become phenomenal at that. And it's one of the reasons, it's also one of the things that people like, because as they're telling their life stories, she'll find pictures. She tells them, I'm going to stalk your social media. You'll find that picture of when they were 5 years old singing with the hairbrush in the mirror. If it's out there, she'll find it.
Oh, that's
Right,
awesome.
right.
And it just really adds to it because sometimes with Zoom, if it's just the boxes, sometimes if you have a great conversation, I don't think people notice. But if you can supplement it with some other things, we found that to be, very helpful.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. Now, the only drawback sometimes, and I've heard this from so many of our guests, like Rosie said, we've had up and comers, we've had established people. We've had a lot of people that used to have record deals, but now are independent. And one of the most frustrating things for them and us is sometimes on certain social media platforms, you get flagged for copyright infringements and things when
Yep.
it's their stuff or they've given
Yes.
us permission.
Yes.
Isn't that
Use
that's
their
just
stuff.
crazy? Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they say they get flagged on their own pages. So no matter
That is
what,
just
yeah,
insane. Yeah.
you've got to work through things, but it's,
Yeah.
it comes through to me that you guys love what you do. And I think that's the key. And as long as you maintain that, it's not work. It's just doing what you love to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
one
tell
of-
them, DH, what did we say if it
Here's one of
became
the things I'm going to
a
be
job?
honest with you.
Yeah.
Yes, and we've always said that if it becomes a job, we don't want to do it. We want to have fun at it.
Yeah.
But one of the cool things, and Roy from the Roy Band, he mentioned this, and I thought, man, that's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of the way we approach this for the 30 minutes or an hour every Wednesday night. I'm not dad. I'm not pop. I'm not an assistant principal. I'm not a husband. I'm Dale. For 30 minutes to an hour, I'm Dale.
We get to
I
enjoy the
get to
ride.
enjoy that
Yeah.
for that 30 minutes, which
That's
don't
right.
get me wrong. Being a pop, dad, husband, those are the greatest things in the world.
Sure.
Most cherished. But that 30 minutes to an hour when we do the podcast, we get to step back out and be David and Dale from back in high school for a few minutes. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to know your story. So you guys know each other from high school?
We've known each other
we've
all
known
our breathing lives.
Since
We
were
lived
about
on the
5
same
years
street.
old. Went to the same schools, played the same sports.
Now we teach in the same school. That's kind of
Coached
our story. That's kind of what we
Yes.
go by with our podcast.
And I won't pull rank or anything because he's
And I'm
older,
23 we're the same age, but I'm 23 days older.
Yes, but we grew up
So
together.
there you go.
and
But we grew up
it's
together, played the same sports, went to same schools.
Been best
all that
friends
good
since
stuff.
we were like 4 or 5 years
Wow.
old. Cub
Sure.
Scouts together.
When we could,
so.
all the stuff. So
But
See that?
you know,
That sounds legitimate, guys, because I've been trying to say for years that I'm younger than Rosie, and I don't think I'm ever going to be able to pull that one off. Probably because it's nowhere near true, but other than that,
hey, I go out 23 days. I can hold that.
Yeah,
So I'm
and he
good.
holds me to that for sure.
But yeah, going back to that, you guys have such a great chemistry and just kind of your backgrounds. I know, Bill, I think if I remember correctly, you were a sports reporter, sportscaster. And
Mhm.
Rosie, I think you've done some
Acting, singing.
modeling, singing. But the way you guys mesh together and work together, it just amazes me.
It's
It seems
natural.
like
Yeah.
it is. It's very
Yeah,
natural. Is
you can
that-
tell that. No doubt
and-
about it.
And coming from our perspective, I mean, we've known each other forever, so it's just kind of there. But is that something you guys had to work on at first, or was it just always natural?
No, I mean, we just had, we just had a conversation, and we have, I think, similar senses of humor, and it just seems to work. Although he would disagree with that, but
Well, every time I try to add something to my stand-up routine, it apparently is getting added to my sit-down routine, because that's what I need to do if I start trying to be funny.
But,
Oh.
but it's
that's
when you're not trying to be funny that you're funny.
Yeah. Well,
that's
but
kind-
I think the bottom line is that, there's not, and I'm not just saying this because she's here, but there's not a nicer, more genuine, authentic person on the planet, and she talked earlier about her mom, and that's where she gets it from. And so we've had to deal with so many challenges and barriers and things that we've overcome, and so does everybody else.
Hmm.
It's not about what happens, it's about how we deal with it that matters, right?
right.
Yeah.
But I literally, if I looked back since 2018, and I'm sure you guys can attest to this, I was thinking about it the other day. It's thousands of hours, tens of thousands of dollars. It's so much, and I wouldn't change any of it. And because it's not work, and because I really appreciate what you guys said about the chemistry, because that's something that have never had to work on it from that December 17th, 2017 day that she showed up in the snow, and it took off from there. People sensed something right then and there.
Yeah, they did say that. They did say that about the chemistry, and we were like, we're just talking, like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that
It's
we
natural.
were
Yeah.
aware of that per se. Other than that, it was an ease of communication.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
and I'll tell you one of the other cool things that I would say too, that can hopefully be helpful for maybe anyone who's watching who wants to do something like this. You just have to ask, and you just have to go for it, and you have to believe in yourself and who you are. And there's no one that's too big of a star to come on. There's what's the worst they can say is maybe not now. Even if it's no, most of the time it's not now.
Yeah.
And we ended up through. It was 2019. We were asked to cover the first East Coast Music Hall of Fame gala in Wildwood. And there were Connie Francis, Bobby Rydell, Tony Orlando, Jay Siegel, you name it, they were there. And initially we were just going to maybe try to shoot some interviews in like a backstaging area. Oh no. This woman in a blue dress was humping that big camera and stand around. We were going to do a lot more than that. And we were backstage. It was just amazing. I couldn't believe my eyes of what she just, let's do this. We're here. Let's do this. And it turned out to be an amazing night, which led to us having the opportunity to be the only media entity covering the next one. All the credit goes to Rosie.
Well,
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
I'm sure you guys do this. We're always kind of giving each other credit and whatnot. So I need to now give Bill a compliment. Bill started the show in his basement, okay? And he did it live from the bar in his basement. And then when he said, why don't you do this with me? And I said, okay. So we went out and bought a little love seat from my friend who had a furniture store, and we wanted to support local businesses. So we bought that. And, I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. This is kind of his lifelong dream. And I was just like, oh, that sounds like fun. Right. And we really did want to have some kind of positive content on social media. It was so negative, and so anyway, but Bill has the gift of vision. And he just believed and plowed forward and just went all in. And I don't mean just, financially or whatever. I mean, just his whole being went into this. And I give this to you, Bill, that we went from being in your basement. I remember my cousin watching it. And he said, can you put like a plant or something behind you? It's just a wall.
A plain gray wall.
But we were so, we were just trying to to tread water at that point, you know.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah.
Tell them how we started, DH.
Oh, okay. So well,
This is a
first
great
off-
story.
First off, Tammy pitched in and said, "Finish each other's sentences." Love you, D&D. We love you too, Tammy, and thanks for all your support. So one of us got a bright idea. I'm not going to mention who because it was me. That hey, let's try something different. So I call up David or DC and I say, "Hey, man, we're going to do a podcast." He's like,
Oh, okay.
He's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "I don't know, but we're going to do one." So I'm like, "We're going to do one," and he's like, "What do you want to do it on?" I'm like. And he said,
We
"What
grew
about
up
the
in the
80s?"
80s. Let's do
He said, "What
80s.
about the 80s?" I said, "Hey, perfect. We're going to do that." So we're big time. And now we grab a cell phone and a $5 microphone from Five Below
And sit at a folding table
and set
together.
at a folding table. And that's how this whole thing started. And
Yeah.
then so we're progressing. And then all at once, somebody comes up with an idea. And this was his. Hey, let's do an interview. I'm like, what? So
How did
that's
that
kinda
go?
how-
Yeah, how'd that go? The first
well,
interview.
Our first interview was actually Diane Franklin, who was in a lot of movies in the 80s, and we forgot to record the interview.
I forgot to hit record.
Oh,
So
Been
we
there.
were.
been
I
there,
felt like
done that,
I was
guys.
on the Titanic. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we were sinking in the harbor.
But, it's just so, I mean, that's where
Yeah.
we started at. But, my whole thing.
We've had her back on.
Oh,
Bless her
several-
heart.
Yes, she's
Yeah.
amazing, amazing.
I think we've had her on
amazing.
3 times, and she's been nice enough and gracious enough to come back on. Where
I thi-
we did record her that time. Yeah.
Yes, we did. We got we hit record that time. But
It-
one of the
Uh.
things, Bill and Rosie, you guys mentioned was the guests that we have on our shows and on your shows, and it could be someone like T.G. Shepherd, Gina Shock. We've had her from the Go-Go's, or it may be a tribute band. But whoever it is, the value they bring to the show, like you guys are bringing such value to our show tonight and to our listeners. It's just amazing the concept of how they bring so much value, and you guys do an amazing job of really highlighting the guests and focusing on the guests and letting them get their stories out. And so I want to appreciate your craftsmanship and your artistry when you do that.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
you do an amazing job.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah,
it's just something, we learn from it. I mean,
Yes.
we want to do better at what we do. I mean, because we're far from having a professional setup of a show, way far.
But the
But-
one thing, you know how they say like you can't coach speed, you can't really coach nice, and listening is often a learned skill, but I think it really is the most important. And I still remember when Tony said that to us, and I literally told him, said my Norwegian grandmother would be so proud of me right now because she always used to tell me you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you talk. And I violate that, credo a lot. I do talk a lot from time to time. And Rosie, thankfully, can reel me in. There's times when I lose track of time and things like that. But I just think that, again, it just goes back to being nice, being genuine, really, really caring, not having an agenda, all those different things. And I will say that we've evolved to where it's become a mini bio documentary of each guest.
Mm.
And some guests, like when you have a Tony or, William Lee Golden we had on recently, or Richard Sturban, our current episode, these guys have incredible careers. You got to let's see, this is going to be a heck of a ride.
Yeah.
And
Let them go
sometimes
through their timeline. Yeah.
yeah. And when we have some folks on that are maybe newer, maybe it goes in a little bit of a different
Yeah.
direction, but it's still generally where they take it. And then one other thing I'll add real quick is that we've had a lot of guests that wanted to come back on, and it kind of created a little bit of a quandary because, okay, our themes become a mini bio documentary. You can't really tell your story twice, but when somebody wants to come back on and they're a great guest, we got to figure something out. So we created another segment. We're calling it In the Spotlight, where either a returning guest comes on to maybe promote a new project, a new tour, a new album, a new movie, or because we're booked out so far in advance, if there's somebody that we'd like to get on a little sooner than 6 months from now, we'll offer that up. So it gives us more opportunities to welcome back. We're going to have somebody next Monday on an In the Spotlight, will be our third time on our show. I believe, I've said in the past, I think he's the best male vocalist on the planet. I've said that several times over the years. We're going to have John Berry back for a third time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, it's just great to have an opportunity to create situations where we can do that and just have different fun things to talk about with great people.
Well, and I know sometimes when you come home at the end of a long day, and I know that you guys know this, especially being in the schools, there's a lot of energy there, and there's a lot of, you can be drained quite often. And sometimes I come and it's like, oh my God, I got to get ready to do the show. And it's not that I don't want to do the show, I'm just spent. And then we get on and we talk to these people, and it like enlivens you.
Yes. Yes.
And I've said on many occasions, I love our guests. We have the best guests because this does provide us with an opportunity to connect with people and hear their story. And I learn more from doing this show and from listening to our guests. And it's not something we look for, but just like kind of the faith that people live, the way they live their lives, a lot of the guests that we have, and the way they've overcome their life obstacles with such grace and perseverance. I mean, I learned so much from our guests, and I'm just so grateful. That's really one of the coolest things for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad Rosie mentioned that, because one thing that I get asked a lot by people who maybe become familiar with what we're doing, they'll say like, who was your favorite guest, or who was your most famous guest? You guys probably get that question too. And I don't really answer it the way that I think they want me to. I start talking about the stories. I start talking about the late Bobby Rydell and how he was on the verge of death, needing a transplant, a liver transplant, and got it and came back. Or Jeff Bates, who, my God, when he opens up about the things he went through and came back from. So to Rosie's point, it empowers you. It literally is inspiration in a nutshell when you see where they've started, what they've been through, where they're at, and in some cases are continuing to go through. And then you have some of these folks that are in their 80s, still rocking and rolling, still bringing it every night because they love what we do. So the way I figure it, for all of us, if we keep doing what we love to do, we've got decades and decades more to do it. So it doesn't get any better than that.
Oh, absolutely.
And
well,
Bill,
put.
One of the things I'm going to add on to there, you're exactly right. Because when we've been asked several times, and I'm always that guy. I'm not a starstruck person. I enjoy all of our guests. I love having everybody on. But I will say this: when we had T.G. Shepherd on, I lost my mom back in April, and
Sorry.
when he was on, thank you. When he was on, talking to him gave me the memory of my mom playing his records in the living room and dancing.
Yep.
And right then it hit me. That was probably my one guest that I would have loved to have on the show that I didn't even know that I wanted on the, in that point.
Yeah, just happened.
So you're right. We kind of
Lined
get
up.
things from all of our guests that we feel that we kind of have on the show. Everyone adds to it. So my question, this is you have to take D&D off the list because I know that was on your bucket list
To be on here.
What would be your biggest dream for your show? Like for your show, not necessarily just a guest, but like on a certain platform or performing it live somewhere in a set in a concert hall. What would be your biggest dream for the show? And you have to take D&D off because your bucket list. 'Cause you've done that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Should I go first, partner?
Well, I'll just throw in the two guests that I wanted to have on the show, and I don't know. We've tried actually and have not been successful yet, but I wanted Dick Van Dyke and Carol Burnett.
Oh wow, that would be amazing.
Gosh.
Yes.
I worked with Carol Burnett years ago on a film, and her publicist kind of made it sound like, well, she's going to be having something to promote. I think it was her 90th birthday celebration. But then he wrote us back and said, oh, she doesn't do Zoom interviews. And it was like, well, we always told you it was going to be a Zoom interview. She could sit on her couch,
Yeah,
but-
some of that repeated, those stories, what they get back on emails, if you get an email back, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
I get
So
you.
that would be my bucket list, because they were
Wow.
comedy icons that I revered. And, I know Bill has his own people, but I'll let you talk about the dream for the show, Bill.
Yeah, and I have, fortunately, we've had a couple already, at least from a guest standpoint. John Berry, Mark Farner, Danny Seraphin. I told Danny and Mark I had posters of them on my wall as a kid, and got a chance to have them on the show, and two incredible human beings. But in terms of the show, I think that because I always think about, like I said, it's the Rosie and Bill show. It's not the Bill show. So my dream would be for us to be on whatever platform is needed, because the world's changing. Platforms are changing. There's no real safe spot, I don't think, to land, whether it's a network. Although I do love being part of Canyon Star TV. I have to say that. And Joey, I think there's a guy with vision.
Yes.
So it's an honor to be on that network with you guys. It was an honor to have Joey on the show, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. I really do appreciate having that. And I just think, other than that, which is a great network to be associated with, wherever we can reach the most people, I would love to be able to do this multiple times a week. But I want my co-host to be traveling back and forth from wherever she's shooting her recurring role in a television series or making films, because she's amazing at it, but she's also incredible at this too.
Yeah.
So as long as we can have a situation where we're reaching as many people as possible on whatever platform makes that happen, continuing to have the kind of amazing guests that we're having, and she's doing what I just said, that's as good as it gets.
Mm.
Well, I also want to give
Wow.
a shout out, and I want to thank Joey as well, because not only does he have a great vision, but he has sympathy, because he let us put our show on there. So we really appreciate
Stop
that.
it. You
Very
guys
true.
have to stop that. That's why he picked you, because you guys are so great and real and genuine.
Yeah,
Oh man.
And
And
shout out and thank you to Joey.
yeah,
Thank
and
you.
Kelly,
Yes.
and,
Yeah.
and
Kelly,
Kelly,
Kelly's fantastic.
Yeah, and-
absolutely.
Yes.
and I do have to say, just between us, and for everybody watching, don't let anybody know this, because I'm not going to mention any names. But because Canyon Star TV is family-friendly television, which I'm a huge fan of,
Yes.
I have gone in and edited out a couple of minor expletives, just in case that maybe some of our former musical guests have blurted out in a moment of joy, never in anger, always in happiness.
Right.
But just in case, I took it out. And I got to hone my editing skills doing that.
That's interesting you say that. We had a guest, DH will know where I'm going with this. We had a guest that most of the conversation, that was just what he did.
No,
He was a
nothing-
rock musician.
Didn't mean anything.
Has been in some well-known bands.
Super nice guy.
Super nice guy. But he got on a tirade, not tirade, but just that was his language. We didn't put him on.
Yeah.
We didn't, we're just not going to do it.
We put him on.
We have a
YouTube.
couple
We put him on.
comedians
We
that
put him
haven't
on
made it into
YouTube. We
Canyons.
put him on YouTube, but we
Yeah.
didn't. There was no way I was sending that.
Yeah.
You know,
You're not
to them.
alone. We've had a couple comedians that will never be on Canyon Star, but they were really funny.
Right. I got you. Yeah, because and it's cool what you're saying about. I think what I'm proud of for us is that you get these comments like from their publicists or whatever. Is like, okay, well, they'll give you 15 minutes. That's it. You only get 15 minutes on the show with them. And we had one, and DH knows who I'm talking about. And I guarantee you that guy
Amazing
went at
individual.
least an hour
And would have kept going. Amazing.
and would have
guy.
kept going. But, that's what makes me feel good about what we're doing, that maybe we're doing something kind of right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Where they feel like, okay, I gave them that window of 15 minutes just to get them where I can get off of here. and he just wanted to keep going
Oh,
on
he's a super
and
great
on
guy.
and on. And
Well, that
on.
is a testament to both of you because he wanted to just have a conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
that's the thing. Like when I'm watching your show as well,
Mm.
I feel like I'm part of the conversation. You guys do a great job of making the folks watching in the audience feel like they're part of that conversation, not just somebody listening to people talk, but you actually make us, feel like we're part of that conversation.
Yep.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
Tammy also put in, thank you all for staying clean on the air. It's
Yeah.
sadly a rarity these days. So yes, but
Very true.
yeah, so I really appreciate that because as I was watching your shows, it felt like I'm sitting there having the conversation with you. I didn't feel like an outsider watching. So you guys do an amazing job.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
Very true. Very
Yeah,
true.
those are the kind of things I think that, not only do they make our day, but it's fuel to keep going. And,
Mhm.
that sort of affirmation that you're doing things the right way.
Hmm.
And it's easy when they're the way you want to do them. And it's how they work. And I will say, and this can be a challenge sometimes for us, is that with the conversations, we started out, we were doing them live. We were either on the love seat in my basement or we were in our studio for that brief time. When you're speaking with someone sitting across from them or sitting next to them, you can kind of pick up when they're done or see, there's nonverbals along with the verbals. Sometimes on Zoom, especially with the lag and different things, one of the biggest challenges is balancing between not having big gaps, but not stepping over each. And I've seen some shows where people just are constantly stepping over each other, and sometimes you just have to pull back. But it's a blessing and a curse, I think, sometimes with doing it on Zoom. But like Rosie said, it's the best thing. Kevin was right. It's the best thing that ever happened to us because I still remember there's certain types of metal music that I didn't even really know existed, the categories. And we've had some really talented melodic metal singers from Finland, country music stars from Australia and Sweden. And we couldn't do that without Zoom.
No,
No.
yeah, it's
No.
amazing. And, it just opens up the avenue, not only to have so many guests, but it also opens up a new avenue to have a bunch of people that can actually enjoy the guests that come on the show. So Zoom makes
Right.
it makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah. It's a
And
fantastic platform.
I love that you guys are reading the comments from people. And that's one of the things that we don't get live, but we do get some after the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say thank you to everyone who watches and listens, and because I just think people, their time is important.
Sure.
And the fact that they're choosing to watch what we're doing is really an honor.
Yeah.
And for us to be able to have people on that they enjoy, that bring them some joy in their day, it is rewarding. And, we're grateful to our viewers, and we're grateful to be on your show and for your viewers.
And
Well,
that's
thank you
one of
very
the
much.
things too that
We
I'll go
appreciate
ahead
that.
that I would like to say thank you for is, and it's also mentioned on here, you guys do provide that getaway. I call it getaway time because life can be hard and things go on, and so thank you for providing
Mm-hmm.
that time frame for people just to escape their daily
Yep.
routines and be able to relax and take a
Well,
breath.
that's a gift. That's a gift for
Yes.
sure to be able to provide that for people and let them just have a getaway,
Yes.
a little bit of getaway in the times that we're in. We hope we do some of that by the reminiscing of when we grew up and the '80s stuff and have fun with all that and do knocks on each other and people like it. They can tell that we are best friends and have a great time what we do and we're
it's kinda
real
like,
about what we're doing.
kind of like Rosie said, they give each other compliments. We give each other crap. So
We knock on
Oh,
each
we
other.
do that too. We
Oh,
do
yeah.
that too.
The camera's not always on.
When Bill-
Right.
When Bill was talking earlier about, she kind of reels me in because he likes to talk. Yeah, there'll be times when we're on the phone and I'm like, okay, I've reached my threshold, gotta go.
That happened last night. And I believe it was a threshold or limit. I think we had reached the
Well,
limit.
no. But in my defense, we both worked all day. And then we had a very special show to be last night. We interviewed cast members from a new film out that's receiving a lot of critical acclaim called Sing Sing.
Mm.
It's based on a program, a rehabilitation program through the arts in prisons in New York State. And when I lived in New York, it was by the grace of God that I was introduced to this program and asked to be a part of it. And I was like, "You're crazy. I'm not going to go into a prison and act with inmates," And it turned out to be like a life-changing experience that I'm so grateful that I had.
Mm.
Anyway, so we interviewed some of the cast members from the movie last night, and there was 4 guests. And so it's a longer show because when you have more guests, you have more to talk about. And so then, then Bill and I were talking after they went off. And so we were talking for a long time. And by the end of it, I was like, when your brain just is like, it can't process.
Oh,
anything.
yes.
So that's what happened.
But I still had words left.
That's usually DC for our show. I think he's got the words. He can keep rolling.
Yeah. Guys, what do y'all have coming up? You told about you were talking about that particular episode, but is there some other things kind of cooking?
Yeah, we have well, right now the current episode that's showing is Richard Sturban, and
Oak Ridge Boys.
It's so cool because once I saw that Richard, we were both born in Camden, New Jersey. That was a great place to launch the show from. Was we're both born in Camden, but Richard was phenomenal. We have Kevin Pauls from the Undercovers coming up. The Rogers, Richie, and Robinson show those guys are doing is phenomenal. We have, like I said, we have some In the Spotlight segments scheduled. So we've got John Berry coming on that.
Yeah.
And we actually see how I can do this, because I never want to jinx it. Because even when we have people that are booked, until it's taped, but I will say this. We have in a couple of weeks, someone who spent a lot of time singing for Leonard Skinner. And he's got a brother who spent a lot of time with 38 Special, and they happen to have the same last name.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah.
We also have Michelle Wright, who's a great Canadian country music artist.
Yes.
Coming up in a few weeks.
Uh-huh.
We had Tom Cotter, who's an amazing comedian, on recently, and we had so much fun. His wife, Kerry, will be joining us. She's also a comedian.
Okay.
And Tom's better half, according to Tom. And I think according to Curry,
usually how that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got, there's a whole host more that we're in the process of, finalizing, if you will, right now. But it's just really, really an exciting time. And I actually had one person that was on In the Spotlight whose story is so compelling. I'm bringing him back to do a more extended conversation with him, Robbie Johnson.
Okay.
He's, phenomenal young country artist. So again, it's a mix of people. We've got comedians, we've got country music stars, we've got rock and rollers, all kinds of people, all with amazing stories. And like I said, we are blessed to be booked until some point in December right now.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Amazing.
Guys, thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
Yeah, it's been our honor.
It's
Can you
been our
guys
honor.
hang as we kind of close it out?
Absolutely.
All right.
right.
Real quick, DH, I want to give a shout out to all the fans and family for Chris Christopherson. We lost him.
Yes.
What a talent, man! What a talent! I heard that. It's such a sad deal.
Yes. And we also
And
lost,
he'll be
Pete
missed
Rose.
for
Yes.
sure.
Also to the family and fans of Pete Rose. We
Yeah.
lost
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
legend with Pete Rose.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely so. All right. So yes. So our prayers and thoughts go out to all the families
Sure.
and friends and fans of them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. We'd like to thank Bill and Rosie for joining us tonight. Folks, it's been our honor. You guys, amazing.
Platforms. I'm sorry. Give us where they can follow you.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm glad you said
Golly, we can't forget that.
that. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
We
Go
need
ahead,
YouTube
partner.
subscribers.
yeah. We're We're in the process of trying to grow our YouTube channel because there's content we can put on there that we can't put on other places. So YouTube, The Rosie and Bill Show. We're on Facebook. And of course, Canyon Star TV
Yeah.
with
Oh,
you
absolutely.
guys. And
Yeah.
I will also say, some people say, are you guys a podcast or are you a talk show? We are an entertainment talk show. We're in the entertainment section of Canyon Star TV. But if you want to call us a podcast because that means play on demand, that's fine too. We don't care what you call us. Just watch it and
Just
enjoy
watch
the
it.
show.
Yeah.
Just watch the show. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thanks for asking that, though. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So yes, yeah, and same here. We're not sure what we are, so whatever you call us is okay with us.
That's
We're
okay.
good either
That's
way.
okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. Remember, you can find us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker Radio, Radio Republic, YouTube, on the Twitter, Instagram, on TikToker, on Facebook, on our website, D&D Dynamite 80s, Google Podcast, all of it, D&D Dynamite 80s. Canyon Star TV, as Bill has mentioned, we are on that platform as well as the Rosie and Bill Show. So make sure and check them out as well, and check out their YouTube channel. Give them a shout. Shout out Nashville Voyager Magazine for doing an article on D&D. And folks, believe it or not, we have 2 more magazines that are currently constructing.
Wanting some
articles on
information.
D&D.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all of that run in, and of course, like I mentioned, Canyon Star TV. As I end off every week, folks, before I send it over to DC to play us out with our sponsors and all, remember, it doesn't cost anything extra to be kind. So always be kind to each other. DC?
Amen, brother. Amen. Here we go. D&D Dynamite 80s would like to thank their sponsors, Hudson's Flags and More,
Tell that
Nesting
guy
Project of Smyrna, Tennessee, PJG Marketing, Totally Cool 80s, Charlie Bubbles Cares for Kids,
The Booch.
Jackie's
The Booch.
Creations on Facebook, Riley Rhodes Art Designs at RileyRhodes.art on Instagram, and the Magic Yarn Project.
Yes.
You can find all these great folks online.
Hey, folks, make sure you check out the Magic Yarn Project. Amazing organization. It's all volunteers, and they actually hand knit caps and hats and stocking hats in like Disney characters and all that.
Superheroes, all that stuff.
Superheroes for kids that are battling
cancer.
So make sure and support them. We're proud to be supporters of theirs. And
Oh my gosh, yeah.
family members. of
Great
theirs.
people.
Also, Charlie Bubbles Cares for Kids. Check them out. The Vooch started, he's got
Paul
that going.
Carafotis, the actor.
Yes.
Yep.
And what
Got
they
a wonderful
do is
thing.
if you make a donation, they actually give a book to a child who couldn't afford that.
Afford a book. Yeah.
And as teachers, we know literacy is very important and vital. So let's make sure and support those 2 organizations. We're blessed to be members of their families. And Rosie and Bill, I just want to say you are officially members of the D&D Dynamite 80s.
Absolutely.
So either congratulations or condolences, whichever way you want to
Whichever way you want to take that.
Next time I come on, I'm wearing my Zubaz pants.
There you go.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. There you go. All
I'll
right,
tease my
DH.
hair a little bit.
There you go. Next week, let me go ahead and give us the 2 weeks real quick. We try to do two weeks ahead here, but Lisa Six, model and expert in 80s fashion,
Yes.
will be on, and you're going to be at the beach, but we get you to try to call in, do the call in thing
It
if you
depends
can.
on what the grandkids have me doing.
I understand,
But,
but
you know,
I keep working, man.
Yeah,
I just keep working.
Hey,
So
that's why
yeah,
you
you
get
go
the big
enjoy the
dollars.
beach. You
that's
go
why
enjoy the
get
beach.
big dollar.
Right. But we're going to have Sandy Kay, who is a friend of ours
Yes.
in Australia. Lives in Australia
Yes.
and does a great podcast, and she's a TV presenter down there as well.
Yes.
Sandy Kay will be in the seat helping me out as well.
Yes. And she'll do
next
a lot
week
better
on the
than I do,
co-host.
so
There you
it's
go.
all good.
There you go. So we're excited about that one. Then October 16th, we got Slippery When Wet.
Yes.
And this guy looks like John Bon
Yes.
Jovi. It's amazing. It's amazing how close he resembles him.
Very talented.
Very talented gentleman. Tribute to Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet will be on. And we're going to have our good friend Mary Schrank is going to be guest hosting again
Yes.
on that one. So
Check her out on TikTok as well. She puts out
Yeah,
a lot
great
of good
lady.
motivational videos.
we love having our guest host. That's for sure.
Yes. Yes. And
so-
we're very blessed. I mean, we're booked out into the first of the year now. I mean,
First of
we're
the year?
working through,
Yeah.
so, yeah, very blessed.
Yeah, yeah. So good stuff. Good stuff. So once again, Rosie and Bill, we appreciate you. All the best
Very
to
much
you,
so,
you and your
yes.
families, and hey, great success with your show. And yeah, we're gonna catch up again, and definitely not be strangers for sure.
Sounds great.
Sounds like a
Thank you
plan.
so
All
much,
right.
gentlemen, and best of luck to you as well.
Thank you so
Fantastic.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
So
much for the opportunity.
So for DH, Rosie
Thank you
and
for
Bill, this is DC. DC always leads us out by saying, keep playing those 80s, my friends. We'll see you
See
next
you
week.
next week, folks. Thank you,
All right.
folks,
Take
again.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.